It's the France 24 debate, the show where we ask, do debates matter? No, we're not talking about ourselves here. We're asking about the face-off that is less than 2 hours away between the finalists in France's presidential election race. The one and only second-round debate features independent centrist frontrunner Emmanuel Macron and the far-right's Marine Le Pen. What are the issues that can convince the final undecided voters? What are the pitfalls the candidates will have to avoid during a broadcast that you'll catch here on France 24? We're going to be asking about a tradition that's well existed in France since 1974. What makes these encounters memorable? How do the French like their debates? The novelty this time is not the quality of the debates, but the quantity. Tonight's encounter, the 8th that we have counted since the primaries, but with a campaign that's been dominated by scandals instead of issues. Many see it as their only opportunity to take a good, hard look and listen to what two very, very different rivals have to offer. Today in the France 24 debate, we're looking at the face-to-face encounter between Emmanuel Macron and Marine Le Pen. With us, he was Jacques Chirac's Minister for Civil Service and State Reform, Renaud Dutreil, who backs Emmanuel Macron.
Good evening.
Thank you for being with us. Thanks as well to Nicolas Tardy-Joubert, Regional Councillor for the Christian Democratic Party. Let me just explain. That's part of that Christian coalition that's inside of Les Républicains.
Absolutely. And my champion was Jean-Frédéric Poisson at the primary time.
Jean-Frédéric Poisson, yes. The honorary president of your party, is supporting Marine Le Pen.
Well, the honorary, yes, but this is not the position of the Christian Democratic Party.
Not the position of the party.
The position is neither Macron and neither Le Pen. No option is satisfactory for us, in fact.
Okay.
So we need to look forward to the next battle, which will be the legislative.
All right, legislative elections. Yeah, there's a lot to take in here. Yeah. Bruno Cotres is with us, the research arm of the French Political Science Institute, Sciences Po. A man who can smile because the pollsters got it right this time for the first round.
Yes, at least the first round.
We'll see what happens on Sunday. And on Sunday, our politics editor, Mark Perlman, will be front and center for our coverage. Welcome back, Mark. The France 24 debate on Facebook and Twitter at the hashtag F24debate. Before we ask our panel, let's see what French citizens are hoping for from this Macron-Le Pen showdown. Emerald Maxwell has the story.
Just 4 days to go until the election runoff. And these Parisians all have the same plans tonight, to watch the presidential debate.
Of course, it's very important, because we're going to have to make a choice.
I want to see which one puts forward the most sensible ideas.
It's theatre, it's a show, and it's politics all at the same time.
Marine Le Pen and Emmanuel Macron will go head-to-head at 9 p.m. for 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's one of their last chances to get their views across on the issues that matter most to voters.
The subjects which most concern me as a mother are education, schools, and as a doctor, I don't think they've talked enough about health during the campaign.
The economy and, you know, just everyday life. What's going to happen next?
Tonight will be the first time the two final candidates will spar face-to-face. Some 20 million people are expected to tune in. But will it have any real effect on viewers' votes?
We'll see what they stand up for, but personally, my mind is already made up.
But with an estimated 18% of voters still undecided, and Macron's hefty lead narrowing in the polls, there's still much to play for.
Do we know, Bruno Cotres, how many undecided voters there still are?
According to the last wave of the study that we do in Sciences Po, it's about 18–20% of the electorate, which is still undecided.
When did you do this survey?
We did it. The field work was a few days ago, so just before the just after the first round, and so it just indicates that still a little bit of the French electorate, because of the particularities of that second round, Macron and Le Pen. Probably still some people from the left, former voters of Benoît Hamon, former voters of Jean-Luc Mélenchon, or it could be also on the right side, very disappointed François Fillon voters could still hesitate to participate.
Mark Perlman, we were talking earlier about how there was so much talk about, for instance, the ethics scandal around the eliminated conservative candidate, François Fillon, that there's the sense that we still haven't gotten down, and we saw a bit of that in that report, we still haven't gotten down to the issues. Are you expecting to learn something from this debate?
I don't think we'll learn something because...
You don't think we'll learn something?
Well, we always learn something from the debates, maybe more the behavior, maybe a few sentences, but the programs have been out there. I mean, as you pointed out, there have been a record number of debates through the primaries and before the first round. And so the rallies are broadcast on, all news channels and so on. So people have had much more opportunity to learn about the programs than in previous campaigns. What's going to be more interesting is some of the recent changes, maybe in the program, especially for Marine Le Pen. We've seen quite a drastic change of tack on the issue of the euro currency, for instance. I mean, she said recently, 70% of the program was built around this notion, and now she's saying, well, we'll negotiate, it'll take time, maybe towards the end of my mandate. So this will be interesting, and she'll probably be grilled by Emmanuel Macron, who also, as a former economic minister, probably thinks that he's much stronger on this issue. So that will be interesting.
It'll be policy and not the personalities of the candidates that the French will be looking to discover.
Obviously, personalities. There'll be certainly personal attacks. Marine Le Pen is going to attack Emmanuel Macron as the elite representative, a banker, pro-European. He might attack her on her legal troubles, because François Fillon was probably ousted because of his legal troubles. Marine Le Pen refused to go answer the questions of a judge. Maybe if Emmanuel Macron really wants to get at her, he might go there. It's not the assumption, because maybe he'll try to stay above the fray, but that's a possibility.
Might stay above the fray. Renaud Dutré, we've seen by some of the candidates what's been described by one observer as a scorched earth policy when it comes to this campaign. It's been quite bitter and toxic. What does Emmanuel Macron do? Does he go for the jugular, or does he take a step back when he's having this?
No, I think that Emmanuel Macron has his vision, his program. He's talking to the French people. He wants to convince them. He understands what the people who've been voting for Marine Le Pen are feeling, this kind of anger. So he's not trying to provoke them.
But what does he do when she provokes him?
He's going to be very quiet. He's a very quiet guy. He's very rational, so he's going to be explaining things, with rationality. While on the other side, Marine Le Pen is trying to build everything on passion, on emotion. She's an emotional politician. And, as you said, she's coming tonight without any economic program, because what she had was built on the euro withdrawal. And now she says, okay, we don't know what's going to happen about the euro. So it implies that there is no more economic and budget, in what she's presenting to the French people. That's unique, we have never seen that, a candidate who is showing up without any economic program, without clarity on what is essential. Where are we going to head?
Okay, but she's held elected office. She's a known quantity. She's been the head of the National Front for a while. He has never been elected to office. He's 39 years old. There's been debates, it's true, but never this sort of face-to-face format. What are the pitfalls for Macron?
What is great is to have someone who has never been elected, who is not part of this kind of elite of the political life. Of course, he's a member. He's a member of the establishment because he was, a banker, and he's been, to the best colleges. But he's not someone who belongs to this professional class of politicians who've been failing. All those guys who are telling about their experience. What kind of experience is it? It's experience of the failure. The impossibility to fix the main issues, unemployment, security, and so on. So I think he's a fresh man in this competition, and people are going to be very curious about who he is. And maybe with Marine Le Pen, they know her better. They're going to be less curious about her personality.
Nicolas Tardy-Joubert, are you expecting to learn something new when you watch the debate?
Well, we always learn something new, but we know that we have on one side two programs. One is a former Hollande program, because Emmanuel Macron is a kind of political clone from Hollande, and I think that everybody knows that. Emmanuel Macron was the economic minister of France for 3 years, and we see that we have an economic failure. We have to remind that we have 6 million almost people unemployed, 9 million poor, and what has changed? So we have 2.2 billion debt. So this is really an economic failure. So people know that. On the other side, well, we have Marine Le Pen. We bring some protection for the nation, but on the economic side, of course, the retirement at 60, when all countries prolong the time for work, and the Euro exit is not the good one. So there is probably, people will really understand what is the issue, and I think they will vote with their goats, because I think this is quite emotional at some stage.
You know, what is very interesting is what you're saying. You're saying that Mr. Macron is looking like Mr. Hollande. But you have a lot of people who think the opposite. They think that Mr. Macron is the anti-Hollande. He's representing everything that Hollande failed to be. And that's why I'm supporting Mr. Macron. Not because he's a kind of son of Mr. Hollande, but because he's the anti-Hollande. He's going to do exactly what the right people and the people from the right or the left have been unable to do. And whether it is Mr. Fillon, or Mr. Sarkozy, or Mr. Hollande, they have been all failing. Mr. Macron is coming with a very pragmatic
approach. But he was, as Nicolas was saying, the economy minister.
General de Gaulle was working for Pétain, and Bonaparte was a close friend of Barras, you know, so that's life. But that doesn't imply that he's a copycat of Mr. Hollande. On the contrary, he's so different. And that's where, you know, we are thinking differently. But a lot of people are looking at Mr. Macron as the new person, not as, of course, the continuation of what has been failing over those last 5 years.
Nicolas Tardy-Joubert, it is true that Emmanuel Macron and François Hollande are different in one respect. They don't have the same personality.
No, they don't have the same personality, but I think there is a big manipulation, in fact, because all the Hollande's team has been recycled almost into Emmanuel Macron team. So we'll not change. We'll not change the policy.
I'm not a member of Mr. Hollande team.
Yeah, but yes, but well, I think people.
Am I a member of Mr. Hollande team?
But Hollande's plan was to really push Emmanuel Macron on the front of the scene, and I think everybody now understands that.
No, that's not true. Mr. Macron prevented Mr. Hollande to be a candidate.
But
just imagine what would have happened without Mr. Macron. We would have today Mrs. Le Pen tonight, and on the other side of the table, we would have Mr. Hollande.
Yeah, but
that's a fact.
In fact, Hollande has put France in ashes. So there is a lot of issues all around the country. Many territories are not held anymore. Yeah. There is economic crisis. There is, on the family perspective, this has been big troubles around the last 5 years, etc. So I think that Emmanuel Macron is a kind of phoenix that would reborn from the ashes. I think people are not, will not buy for this.
If Bruno Cotres, what does your research show? What do the French think of Macron?
Most French knows that we should have something new happening to France. When we are doing in
So here you have Renaud Dutreil saying he's something new, and Nicolas saying he's something old.
In the surveys that we are doing in Sciences Po, we are publishing once a year an annual survey which is about political trust in France, the way that the French are looking to their political class, and it is so obvious since many years that the French would expect that something or someone new comes on the scene. There was clearly an opportunity for someone. This year it is Emmanuel Macron. It could have been someone from another party. It is just that someone...
Could it have been someone from the traditional parties?
Oh yes, absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. But it is just that the traditional parties did not manage to create that. So it was obvious that the French public opinion was waiting for something new, because most of the French have seen Nicolas Sarkozy, then they have seen François Hollande, And actually, they see that after 2 mandates like that, still the same problem, still unemployment, still public deficits. So it is so obvious when you look to the public opinion figures that the French were absolutely fed up. The level of dissatisfaction with the actual political class is just amazing in France.
Actually, amazing. Mark, latest polls give a comfortable 20-point lead to Emmanuel Macron. This in a nation where presidential elections are often a 52-48 affair.
Except once in 2002 when Jean-Marie Le Pen qualified for round 2 and Jacques Chirac garnered over 80% of the vote. But this was more of an accident. The polls have been fairly consistent. You know, they've been really moving 1 point or 2, but it's 60-40 essentially.
Okay, let me ask you this. This is one poll by Sofres. There's another one that's 60-40 that's come out a couple hours ago. So as you say, it's between 18 and 20 points. But what's the difference between an Emmanuel Macron elected with 52 or 53% and one elected with 60 or 65%?
Well, there's already one big difference. As I mentioned, the precedent of 2002, the big difference already is that Marine Le Pen will score at least double than her father did in 2002. He scored 18%. According to the polls, she'll get 40%. So it's already a big change. And if she gets 40%, it's already a good performance for Marine Le Pen. I mean, obviously, you'll say, okay, Emmanuel Macron gets 60%. If she gets more than that, obviously, it's going to be much better for her. For the future, she is still young. She ran last time. This is her second presidential campaign. And because this is, yes, the second round of the presidential election, it's the mother of all elections in France. But the mother of all elections has a pretty big sister election coming up, and it's the legislative elections. They might be more important in a way than the presidential election. And if Marine Le Pen scores a good figure in this second round, she'll get the momentum for the parliamentary election, and in this case, you could very well have a parliament without a clear majority and with a strong national front.
Before we go to the break, Bruno Cotres, what do the numbers show as far as Sunday's poll go? You got it right last time. Are you sure to get it right this time? And secondly, what does it show regarding the legislative elections, which are so important?
If the election was today, it would give a clear victory of Emmanuel Macron. This is what the polls are saying. The last time we did it extremely well. We have exactly the same instrument, and it would be probably something around 59, 60, something like that. But the score, the final score of Emmanuel Macron on Sunday is going to be pretty important for 3 issues. One would be who is going to be the Prime Minister of Emmanuel Macron, and the score of Emmanuel Macron is going to put a little bit of constraint on that. Second is going to be the sister election, the legislative one, amazingly important this year. And finally, also because Emmanuel Macron has a big European agenda, is going to send a signal to the rest of the European Union, which is what Emmanuel Macron, how much is the margin of what Emmanuel Macron would like to do to restart a Franco-German major European initiative. So if Macron has a big margin of the victory, is going to create a dynamics with that.
All right.
And if not,
we're gonna pick up on that point when we come back. We'll take a quick break. You're watching the France 24 debate.